Hello, everybody, and welcome. It has been, almost 4 months since I last made a video, and for that I want to apologize. A lot has happened since, I believe it was October when I published my last Captain's Log video. I had said that my prep work was needing some good, useful time for my National Novel Writing Month novel, which went very well, by the way. I got about 60,000 words done. Wrote a full novel. It went fantastically. One of the best first drafts I've ever written. So that extra time I gave myself there was very much necessary. But at the end of October, I also accepted a new job, which took pretty much the rest of last year to kind of come to fruition. I'm now in a new space, now in a new position, and very much in a better headspace for it. So there's a few things that I want to go through today. First off, I will be continuing Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log at some point in the future. Not today, but at some point in the future. The big news, I just want to thank everybody. We hit 200 subscribers while I was on my little break. And I never in a million years thought that there'd be 200 people who would want to watch me talk pretty much extemporaneously as I went through Captain's Log. I'm hoping that there are enough of you that enjoy me and what I was doing still, that you'll stick around for a little while longer. I think what we do in the coming few months is going to be very exciting. But as a part of that 200 subscriber special, I guess this is that. I wanted to go through some of the stuff that's been occupying my time lately. So let's go through a few things. First off, you may have noticed this behind me. This is a lovely gemstone dragon mini that I painted. I am very, very happy with it. Turned out beautifully. This is the what is it? Cithrion Ironazir mini from MCDM Productions. And I've had it sitting on the desk behind me you've probably seen it in videos before, in a very kind of half-painted state. After I moved, I had some time and got COVID and decided to finish it. And I think it looks great. Definitely the biggest mini I painted. I don't want to paint one bigger. It took a lot of paint and a lot of time. This is one of the things that has occupied my time. The other big thing, I believe I've mentioned that I have written a few books. I don't know that I can recommend them. The first book in particular I can't recommend, at least not at this point in time. I wrote it in 2020. There was a period of time in 2020 where everybody was looking for things to do, and that is how I occupied that time. It's short, it's choppy, and there's a lot of things that I would do differently now. My second book, I think I would recommend. I enjoyed writing it. I think it's an interesting story. And it's definitely, I don't think as many people read it as my first book, which probably says a lot about my first book. But my third book is the one I wrote in 2022. That's what this National Novel Writing Month shirt was from. That was the kind of the end of that trilogy. It 75,000 words, still a pretty short read. I'm not hugely one for writing big epic fantasy mysteries. That's kind of my genre. And really I do it for myself. I have spent more money than I will ever make on my books, and that is just fine. I do it because I want to prove to myself that I can. And I do it because I like to write, and I know I've got some family and friends who like to watch me write. But my third book, I kind of left sitting for the last 14 months unedited. Over the weekend, I edited it and laid it out and made a cover for it. And I just got the proof in today for that book, and I want to go through my initial reactions and kind of some of the things that I have seen in taking a look at it. So I filmed a couple of clips that I'm going to insert here, and kind of go through my thoughts on what I was seeing. I do apologize. It is going to be in a vertical format. I filmed it on my phone. The audio may or may not be as good. I think my phone's in decent shape. It's relatively new. But I hope you enjoy. At some point down the line, I know this is becoming a popular thing. People have been giving bookshelf tours. So I may do that. I'm not quite ready to dive back into Captain's Log yet. Still kind of finding my footing at the new job. So things that are relatively low maintenance, low creative energy is the thing for me at the moment. So a bookshelf tour might just be the thing. If that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know, and I will see you next time. All right, I just got the proof of my third novel, Mists of Myanos. Pretty cool. It's definitely bigger than my previous two books, if my camera will maintain focus. And it looks pretty good. I'm generally happy. The gloss cover is nice. That's supposed to be mist on the front that I have turned red. I might want to make that a little brighter. I ended up having to do the same thing with my second novel, which I can show as an example here in just a minute. But the font looks pretty good. The generally happy. Um, yeah, so let's take a quick look while I've got you here. Map looks nice in the front. Open up to some random pages. Font looks good. Print generally looks good. Page numbers, titles, my name in the top left, chapter, or excuse me, title name in the top right. What I want to look at now, I've got some sections where I have like someone writing a letter, and I'm not exactly sure. It might be a little too narrow. I might need to make that allow that to be a little wider. Might want to make the date at the top shifted to the left. I don't know that I have a huge problem with it being that much narrower than the actual text. The problem with doing otherwise, having it be too wide, is that it can be like if you just are looking at it compared to the text, it can be difficult to tell. Can be difficult to tell exactly where the how to put this where oh my brain been a long week. It can be difficult to tell where the separated text and the normal narrative continue, kind of where that delineation point is, which is one of the reasons why I have that narrowed. And there's also times like where I've got it in the middle of some text. I want to say chapter 30-ish, something like that. Yeah, here we are. So doing something like that to make it very obvious that something is changing, those are usually a good point. I might leave it that narrow. I kind of like it being very separate. So if you stop in the middle of something and you start again, you're like, oh yes, what was I reading? Yes, this is an aside. That's kind of okay. Now, one of the other things I need to check, I've got in here some points in time where the page breaks or scene breaks in the middle of a chapter. I've got little stars in the print version. I think it's just a horizontal line in the ebook version, but that's what that looks like. And I think that looks pretty good. The pages in this are a little thin, so the text bleeds through. I don't know if that's limited to the proofs or not, but I don't necessarily care. Let me pause this and go find another book to take a look at. And then we're going to take a quick look at the difference between the proof copy of my second novel and what it ended up looking like, especially as far as the cover's concerned. All right, so here's a copy of a book. I don't have a whole bunch of newer novels in paperback, so I just grabbed a copy of Agatha Christie's Evil Under the Sun, which is a great Poirot novel if you haven't read it. But yeah, the text does kind of bleed through a little bit in something like this as well, so I'm not too worried about that. But let's take a quick look at my second novel's proof. Now, I realized I made the same mistake. My second novel's proof, Shadows Lurk, similarly, white pages. I realized I didn't like that and switched to cream for the page type. And I'm glad I did that because my first book has a cream background. But you see, this had the same sort of issue where it was just a little too dark. It didn't look great. So if I drop that there and switch to the final version, see that shows up really well. It's almost more orange than it is red, and that's okay for how this turned out. But then the cream colored pages look really, really good. Especially when you compare them with, getting a lot of shots of my carpet here. You compare the white, this is difficult. I'm gonna set this down real quick. There we go. You compare the white with the cream and you can really see the difference. The cream is definitely a lot easier on the eyes. So I'm 100% gonna switch the page color to cream, and I think I'm gonna brighten the cover art a little bit. Fortunately, it's something I made, so I can do that with ease. And I know I've had questions before of how I chose the physical size for these books, because they are, especially compared to like mass market paperbacks, they are on the small side. So I'm going to go grab the book that I used as a template 4 years ago when I was writing my first novel. All right, so here's my new proof again, and let's compare it real quick to, I believe this is what I used, Robert B. Parker's first book from the 70s. I figured, you know what, I'm writing kind of a shorter novel, and I don't really necessarily need to make something big that's going to make it seem even shorter than it actually is. So let's go with that same sort of smaller size. And looking at it, that's not exactly the same size, so I must have used something different. But I did grab another novel. These Louis L'Amour novels, I've got quite a few of them. They're all about the same size, and once again, they're pretty much exactly the same dimensions as what I ended up going with. So that's how I ended up with that kind of choice in dimensions. Now I'm kind of locked into it. It is non-industry standard anymore. It was at one point, so I decided to keep that kind of standard through this first trilogy. The next book I write, I will go with a little more default size, so that I could potentially get expanded distribution, that sort of thing.